Multicultural chaos on the streets of London in the United Kingdom as the Indian community and the Pakistanis clash with each other and the Metropolitan Police. And in this live stream, we're going to give you guys the latest and show you the videos from London and, of course, get your perspective on this mess. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2CTV. As you can tell, I've moved again. So earlier today we were in Jaffa. We are now in Tel Aviv. We're actually right next to the hostage square, where in about half an hour, 25 minutes, we're going to have yet another hostage protest in Tel Aviv. Which, by the way, after this one, we're going to go and obviously we're going to report for you guys as well. Hopefully the internet is going to be fine. But right now I'm actually sitting at a bar. I'm going to show you where we are. We're at this sports bar. And we're going to talk to you guys about what's been going on in London. It's been a bit of a messed up situation. Over the last few days, tensions between India and Pakistan have been escalating, as you guys know. Unfortunately, that's now reached the streets of London and the United Kingdom, which is not a full surprise, but it's something that the authorities cannot handle. We've had protests that was organized initially by the Indian community in London outside the Pakistani embassy. Then we had a situation where the Pakistanis came out. I'm going to show you some of the most disgusting videos, by the way. Decided to do a counter protest. It got a little bit messy. The police came. They couldn't do anything. Number one, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, very silent about this. The government don't want to talk about this. Imagine if this sort of clash was a bunch of right-wing patriots, nationalists, whatever you want to call them, right? With union flags. Anybody with St. George's flag, union flag, oh, there will be a national emergency. Let's go to the first video. Then I'm going to show you exactly the problem that we're currently facing on our streets. Watch this. Okay, well, firstly, apologies, the sound, because I'm outside, obviously. It's whether you like it or not, in major cities, capital cities, Berlin, Paris, London, everywhere, because you have the embassies of different countries, you are going to have sometimes protests outside those embassies by other communities, because we live in a very multi-ethnic, multicultural world in the West. But usually, for example, when we had the Christians, Armenian Christians protesting outside the Azerbaijan embassy, and we were there to report for you guys, Nick Tenkoni, the leader of UKIP, was leading that protest on behalf of the Armenian Christians. That's usually how it works. People do their peaceful protests. Actually, the Jewish community protested outside the Qatari embassy, the Iranians protested again outside the Iranian embassy. What we saw in London this weekend was the confrontation from the Pakistani side. Number one, the Pakistani Islamist terrorists attacked Indians. They started the conflict, just like October the 7th, when Hamas invaded Israel. Now, when the Indian community, and others, by the way, who went to show solidarity to the Indians, and British Indians and non-British Indians, the Pakistanis came out to confront them, as if it's a bunch of far-right English working class people protesting, just like what we had last summer, when you then had the Islamic, mostly Pakistani, Bangladeshi, coming out in Birmingham and many other cities in the UK, attacking local pubs because they were like, well, there's a white person in there drinking a pint of beer. This is where things got escalated. Let's go to the next video, and then I'm going to show you the number of arrests that have been made. couple of issues here. First things first, the police, extremely under-resourced. Did you see? There were a couple of police officers there, both sides literally doing a face-off. Even the pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian side, the police comes with so many police vans and they form a line, divide both sides. In this situation, it was politically incorrect because they didn't want to be insensitive and offend one of the sides. From inside the Pakistani embassy, the so-called Pakistani embassy, you have people intimidating. There were people on the balcony doing this to the Indians and to everybody basically, doing this. And apparently that's fine. Just like when the Palestinian side say, from the river to the sea, intifada, intifada. The double standard is there because the police were terrified of actually doing a crackdown when the Pakistanis were coming out to confront the other side. This was disgusting. Then obviously it led to a bit of a mess and the number of arrests. Let's go to the first video I have that one person got arrested.
Stop him! Bye bye! You're under arrest. Bye bye! Waste the outside public order. Bye bye! Bye! Bye bye! Do not say anything. Lay hold your defence. Bye bye! Don't mention one question. Anything you do, sir. Alright, sir. Maybe give it an evidence.
Get back for me.
Don't catch him. He is not doing anything. He is not doing anything. Stay back.
So, the first instance where the Metropolitan Police in London decided to act quickly was when somebody allegedly racially abused the police officer. Now, okay, number one, this was probably the first time, or one of the rare situations, where a non-white person was actually arrested for racially abusing the police, but we don't actually know which police officer. For the record, we don't actually know whether the Indian side or the Pakistani side racially abused a white police officer or non-white, because it's London. We had a huge number of non-white police officers. So it is highly unlikely that that brown man was arrested for racially abuse a white police officer. We know that, right? Although sometimes the police in this country, well, not this country, I mean Israel, the United Kingdom, they do take it personally. You remember the West Yorkshire police officer, the woman with the short blonde hair, where that autistic teenager innocently told her mum, that police officer looks like my lesbian grandmother, right? She got offended. So technically, actually, one of the white police officers, if they're woke, they could be offended. That's, for once, it's anti-white racism. Anti-white racism does exist when it's against the woke police officers, right? But we don't have the confirmation which police officer got offended. Let's go to the next video. The Pakistanis creating a bit of a mess. It is fascinating. So, as I said earlier, the reason I mentioned the other situations, like Armenian Christians protesting outside the Azerbaijani embassy or any other situation, is that you don't really get the Azerbaijani people coming out to fight against the Armenians, because they deep down they know, well, they did it first. In this situation, Pakistani terrorists started the conflict. They butchered innocent Indian people, tourists, Hindus. Somehow the Pakistanis are still the victims. Not really sure how, because they've learned from the watermelon people. Oh yes, the Philistines or the Palestinian people. This is the same tactics being used by this side as well. Let's quickly go to the next video, then we're going to come back. what I love about this is that the main group that usually does the counter protests against the Palestinians in London, the group that flies the Israeli flag, they are with me right now, today, in Tel Aviv. They're literally sitting over there drinking gin and tonic. But you still had Israeli flags. The reason you had Israeli flags, and that was actually quite nice, is because when the Jews in London fight back against the Islamists, they are supported by two main groups. The British patriots bringing in the Union flags, and the Indians. The Indians always bring the Indian flags. I forgot about the third group, the Iranians, of course. The Iranians bring in the original Iranian flag. So that's why you still had a couple of Israeli flags there, even though I was like, who are these ones? We're all here. I brought... But you still have enough people, including obviously people like Niak Korbani, who's... I don't know if he was there himself, but people like him would have been there to obviously show solidarity with the Indians. Somehow, again, the Pakistanis are the victims. Let's go to the next one. Sorry guys, can we just appreciate the level of irony in the Pakistani side in London? Did you see there was a sign that said that India is basically a state terrorism country, state terrorist India? The irony coming from Pakistan. I mean, I'm not just saying it as a conspiracy theory, I'm not just accusing the Pakistani state, which is a failed state, of propping up terrorism. Firstly, you have about, I counted manually, 5,003,003,000 terrorist groups in Pakistan. Maybe not that many, but there's a lot of terrorist groups funded and supported by the Pakistani state. But that's not enough. The Pakistani defense minister and the foreign minister both admitted that's what's happening in Pakistan, but they blamed it on America, saying we are doing it for America, like Mujahideen in Afghanistan against the Soviet Union. But they are calling India a terrorist state. Of all things, you can accuse India. You can criticize India on so many levels. Just like any other country, you can criticize Israel on so many levels. You can criticize the UK, US, issues with healthcare, for example, or issues with corruption, issues with the left-wing nutters, and everything else. India, terrorist state. That's not one of them, really. So, but that's coming from the Pakistani side. Let's go to another video of yet another arrest by the police. This level of what I call, as you can see, multicultural chaos in London is embarrassing for London, is embarrassing for the so-called United Kingdom. Let's not forget about that. But on the other hand, you also have a situation where, India, actually, if I were an Indian, hypothetically, if I were an Indian, I'll be happy. You know why? India, for a very, very, very long time, especially under the British Empire, was always the underdog. We were occupied. We are part of the colonialism of Britain. We're not a superpower. Actually, since the creation of Pakistan, India is now a colonial power. According to Pakistan, India is now a scary superpower, which is kind of funny. But also, to be fair, India has made massive, massive improvements and advancements in terms of the country, in terms of the state. So obviously, compared to the absolute nutters in the Pakistani government, yes, India is more powerful. But the fact that India is now going to be accused of being a colonial power, it is kind of funny. So if I were an Indian, I'll be kind of proud of it. Like, yeah, why not? We are now the new colony. Now let's quickly go to the next clip that we have from London. I think this is another angle from the second arrest.
What is the reason for you arrest? No, you give the answer, sir.
I do not.
Why don't you give the answer? Why do you arrest?
Some space. Give them some space. Give them some space. Just stop.
Why you arrest?
Give them. Stop. Stop. One more. Josh. Josh.
Why arrest, please? Give the answer. Give the answer, please. Why arrest? Why arrest? Give the answer, please. No, give the answer. Why you arrest? No, what do they will say? Why you arrest?
अभी यहाँ पर एक अरेस्ट हो गया है इंडियन को एक अरेस्ट कर लिया गया पाकिस्तान हाई कमीशन के बाइक से और जो कि लग रहा है कि और पुलिस पर मना किया जा रहा है देखा उससे वो प्रोटेस्टर्स कुछ हंगामा राई करने की कोशिश की जिसकी वजह से अरेस्ट कर लिया गया है एक इंडियन को वायलेंस अरेस्ट कर लिया गया है इंडियन को पाकिस्तान हाई कमीशन के बाइक से
Okay, let's be honest. Let's be absolutely honest here. One of the things that we've been hearing a lot in recent times is that the Jews, the Jews, so I love how I just said the Jews in the middle of Tel Aviv, the Jews are the reason that we have the Islamists being pushed out of the Middle East to come to Europe, right? And obviously there was a point where it was in the interest of the Israelis to get rid of their enemy. It's the job of the European countries to not open the doors. But the point was, most of the problems we have in the UK or in France or whatever is because of the Islamists coming from here, this region, because the Jews are pushing them out. Look at the stats. What's been going on in London this weekend proves the problem. Most of the problems, the crises that we are having in the UK, for example, is coming from not here. Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, grooming gangs, Islamists. The Jews did not push them out. Nothing to do with the Zionist agenda. You can see the problem. You can see there was a problem with mismanagement of post-empire. When the British Empire, people say British Empire fell. British Empire didn't fall. British Empire as a power essentially devolved into the Bank of England and the Commonwealth and the overseas territory. It voluntarily collapsed so that it doesn't actually collapse like an embarrassing situation like the French. But what we have is that Britain is no longer Britain because we couldn't handle what's going on, the backlash. The Islamic side, who was supposed to go to Pakistan, firstly, there was a massive divide between those who are in Pakistan and Bangladesh. They're like, well, we don't want to be there, we don't want to be there. Then the big chunk from both Bangladesh and Pakistan, the Islamic side, were like, well, we don't want here, we don't want the other side, we also don't want India. Let's go to Britain because they were the empire and we're going to go, and now it's our turn to take something from the former empire. Nothing to do with the Jews, right? You have a situation where you've been propping up the Pakistani state, which is a failed state, it's a fake country, it's not a real country, it's an acronym. And you're now complaining about the chaos you're seeing on the streets of the United Kingdom. For decades and decades, in the 60s and 70s, when the first generation of Indians went to the United Kingdom, yes, they had their own culture at home. The moment they left their house, vast majority integrated, worked hard. Yes, you can make all the stereotypical jokes about the Indians in the UK. Yeah, they owned the corner shops, the small supermarkets, the Indian shop, the restaurants, the curry shops. Yeah, of course. They still paid their taxes. Then you had a problem. Because then, when India was coming up as a country, and let's not forget, globalism destroyed many things. When globalism was becoming a major thing over the last few decades, the European Union and the Chinese Communist Party ruined everything for many countries. African nations were destroyed by the European Union because they didn't want competition. The Chinese Communist Party, China, got involved with globalism. Many things we have is made in China. We saw China, not me and you, but our government, as a potential partner, which meant that they rigged the system, built cheap nonsense in China, So India had to copy the same thing, right? Then we realized, okay, well, it's probably not a good idea to have things in China. So certain brands moved to India. India started coming up. At that point, it was too late. Many people left India. They came to the United Kingdom. This is very different to the first wave of migrants from India in their 60s, 70s, in terms of post-empire days. Now you have a situation, multicultural chaos. You got the Indian side, then they have to deal with the Pakistanis, they have to deal with the Bangladeshis, you got the Kurds, you got the Turks, you got this, and confrontation happens on the streets of the United Kingdom and France and Sweden and many other countries. And our leaders, what are they doing? Have you heard anything from Keir Starmer? Have you heard anything from Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary? Have you heard anything from the Pakistani Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, or as I call him, Sad IQ Khan? Absolutely nothing. If one of these people, the videos I'm showing you, one of them was carrying a Union flag or St. George's, then yes, oh yeah, you would have had national security crisis, emergency, an official statement by Downing Street, and probably King Charles as well. This is the mess we have to deal with now. Let's go to the next video and then I'll come back. Okay, I'll tell you one thing. As someone who is ethnically foreign in the United Kingdom, I am ashamed, I am embarrassed on behalf of the Anglo-Saxons in England, the native Brits in the United Kingdom in general. It's sad to say this. It's sad to say what my mother, who was actually saved by the British Embassy in Iran, and that's how she came here legally, she says, she feels sorry for the UK. And she's saying it as a foreigner, as a first generation migrant. This is not what she expected. She taught me. I came here as a kid, but the lesson was, this is the new home. They were generous enough to welcome you in, to save us, to give us a fresh chance in life. Be grateful, obviously. It's your job to make the natives feel comfortable. A lot of foreigners and migrants, especially from the Islamic culture, because they don't want to integrate, they expect the natives to make it comfortable for them to be in the new country. She told me, make sure it's your job not just to integrate, not just to actually be proud of the new home and respect the identity and believe in the culture, but you have to make it comfortable for the natives that you are here. Because she always saw herself as a guest. She has two problems right now. My mother has two problems. One, she says, I left the Middle East because I wanted to get away from that mess, from that culture. Now they're following me. The second reason that she believes is a mess, she says she feels sad that the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is now dealing with this. The most popular boy's name in the UK this year is Mohammed. I mean, it's not a surprise anymore. And the fact that it's not a surprise anymore is the problem. Now, if you're going to go and call the white English people, when they say what I say, if you're going to call them racist, go call them racist. Can you call me and my mother racist? Are you going to accuse me and my mother of being some sort of Anglo-Saxon far right? No, my mother is the foreigner, is the definition of the foreigner. She's a first generation migrant. And she has a problem with the fact that Mohammed is the most popular boy's name in the UK. And she will have the same problem if the first popular name in the UK would be Lee or anything Asian or African. Or actually, my mother and I always talk, we say we also have a problem with London becoming too Americanized. Everything is Americanized. It's not really just about like some sort of non-white racism. No. Every culture, every tribe should respect its own identity. I will have a problem on behalf of the Japanese if a bunch of lovely Koreans go to Japan and change the culture of Japan. Korea for Korea, Japan for Japan. Simple. But you have a situation where, first things first, the Indian community, especially the first wave of British Indians, came here after the empire fell, Commonwealth started. Vast majority integrated, second generation, third generation British Indians, they're working hard, everything else. Now they have to deal with the rest of the multicultural nonsense. And at the time, because the number of people coming into the country was much smaller than now, people got used to it. Over time, yes, in every village and town, you had one Indian family, a couple of Indian families. There we go. You got the curry house, you got your takeaway, you know, the stereotype things that they say about Indians. They were British because, actually, whether you like it or not, the British Empire's influence in India, they made everybody British anyway. Now you have to deal with this mess. Not only the British natives are being neglected, actually, the so-called foreigners who tried their best to integrate, even the foreigners are now being attacked. So basically, we're sending a message to the rest of the world that the United Kingdom and countries like the UK, not only they don't care, well, the governments, the authorities, will attack the natives, they will also not care much about the foreigners who integrate. They would respect the foreigners who don't integrate, mostly because they are terrified. They are terrified. If you have a government or the state running a country out of fear, you are not in charge of your country. The British government is not in charge of Britain, the United Kingdom in general. You don't have a country. The UK doesn't exist anymore. You might think it exists. It doesn't exist. What is the UK right now? What is the most popular name for boys in the UK? What's the big chunk of the population in prisons right now in the UK? What is going on with any level of respect for the Union flag? It doesn't exist. The media doesn't like the Union flags. The authorities don't like the Union flags. The government doesn't like the Union flag. It's the flag of the country. I am sitting right here in Tel Aviv. I am right next to the hostage square. Actually it's already started 5 minutes ago. The protests have started. Tel Aviv is a liberal city. You have a bunch of left-wingers in Tel Aviv right now protesting alongside the hostages' families. Some of them are left-wing and hate the government. They hate Netanyahu, right? Left-wing, right-wing. Some of them are families of hostages. They do it every Saturday. I'm going to go there. We're going to report what's going on. My point is, every single person right now walking behind me, going to the protest, they are carrying the Israeli flag. Doesn't matter what ethnicity they are. Doesn't matter if they're left-wing or right-wing. They are proud of the Israeli flag. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and I'm going to show you what's going on the Hostage Square. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Maya Tusi and we are the media.